All right, hey, this is Ben Morrison with the DripTip, and today we are going to do an introduction to DIY juice making because I know it's something that everyone who has ever vaped has been interested in, who has spent more than $100 and vaped it within a week. DIY juice making is, I think, in my opinion, the next step in vape culture. I knew once I built my first coil that I was never going to buy another coil, and I haven't looked back since. And the juice making community is growing rapidly, especially with the looming specter of FDA regulation, making it very hard to be a juice vendor. I feel like everyone who's a serious, or shall I say, rabidly obsessive with vaping, needs to do is to examine how you can kind of become your own recipe maker and start making juice yourself. So today we have been kind enough to have a visit from LA's The Liquid Barn. This is Robert. Please introduce yourself and what Liquid Barn is.
I'm Robert, and Liquid Barn is basically the do-it-yourself company for anybody who wants to make E-Juice. And if you're making E-Juice, you can also go into making your own line of E-Juice and try to sell to shops, but we're really just about making E-Juice for yourself. And we provide all the information. There is, a lot of information out there. There's a lot of information online. A lot of it might be confusing or maybe wrong. So what we do is we take all that information and we help put it together for you guys.
Yeah, when I was examining DIY kits, because getting into juice making seemed like a pretty daunting task to me, and I specifically examined DIY kits that I could just kind of get going out of the box, much the same way you'd begin vaping with an Ego starter kit. You just need your battery, your tank, and a charger. And I thought with the DIY kit, I really just wanted the base ingredients and some flavorings, and I could begin to tinker and see which areas I liked the most and which areas I wanted to get more of or less of. And when I found Liquid Barn, not only was it handy because I live in Los Angeles, but they immediately struck me as having the best, most well thought out kit, so to speak. It didn't seem like it was a lot of different non-cohesive parts that had just been thrown together. It seemed like the kit had really been put together as the best one-stop shop to get into your own juice making. And I contacted him immediately and then told him I was a very famous celebrity. I lied extensively. I had to fake my own website and television appearances just to get him to come out here, which was great. I'm glad you really thought I've done all the television and commercial work that I have, and it was all really just to get this stupid kit. So good for me and my Photoshop and video editing skills to get us here. That having been said, I am very lucky to have Liquid Barn here, and not only are we going to make a juice and drip it and vape it, we're going to kind of give you guys kind of an intro to DIY juice making, because there was a bunch of questions I had that I feel like a lot of people who are a little hesitant to get into DIY might also have, that I feel like we can kind of answer now and kind of set people on their way. So I think what I'd like to begin with first are the base components of DIY. That being your bottles of propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin. Now, these are the two main components in most juices. Would you feel that most juices use a 50-50 ratio at this point, or is it more skewing towards 70-30 VG?
VG definitely is more used now. I feel if you're making your own juice, though, the best way to start would be to do 50-50, because then you can have a better idea of, what it is you want to do as far as your ratios. Some people like more VG, some people like more VG. I like more PG, so it really is going to depend, and there's a couple points that we can get into a little bit later to talk more about.
I also like PG because I don't have any allergies to it. Yeah. And my friends who have a PG allergy, I blow clouds in their face, and I'm like, haha, you're going to get a rash. I don't do that. I just tell them it's all VG and then watch them just fucking, no. But I am hearing, we were talking about this before we started going, that more and more people are moving towards all VG juice.
Yeah. Yeah, and the conception is, well, for one, I know that people like the clouds, the thick clouds, and that's what you're going to get with the vegetable glycerin. The propylene glycol, though, you're going to have more of a throat hit, so for people who are smokers or maybe are in the process of quitting smoking, you're going to find that the PG offers that throat hit that you're used to. The vegetable glycerin is very smooth, but you're going to get those thick, heavy clouds, but it also takes a lot longer to wick. Yeah. So if you're in a tank, you might have problems with burning the wicks. as where the propylene glycol, you can sit there and hit it over and over,
Yeah.
and you're not going to really have that problem. Like
When
you
I
do with the VG.
first started vaping, propylene glycol seemed very chemically to me, and I think just based on the name alone, I kind of stayed away before I began investigating and realized that propylene glycol actually has 30 years more research on it, just because it's been used for so long, and many a shitty Kanger coil fell to thick VG when I first started going.
Yeah.
And was just buying coils left and right. And then I was like, I got to build my own coils. So these are basically the two bases for the vape mixture, is propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin. So when we get going, and again, I'm just going at this as a complete newbie, we're going to have 30% of each of these, and then the rest is Nick. How does it ultimately break down what is in the bottle?
So it's going to come down to basically what you decide your nicotine level is going to be.
And as we said, I tend to go, let's just say 12 to 16-ish.
Yeah, and that's so you can pretty much do. One of the nice things about making your own juices, you can go to any nicotine level you want. The standards, 6, 12, 18, 24. If you want 17, you can go to 17. If you want 8, you can go to 8. Same thing with flavoring. You can bump up your flavors. So your mixer is really going to change depending on what it is you're looking for.
Right.
So when you have your basically three things, you've got your PG, VG,
Okay.
which are these two right here, and then your flavoring.
Right.
And then the other main component would be the nicotine.
And then this is your handy,
Right.
like, bottle full O nicotine.
Yeah.
And this, as we will see when we're mixing, needs to be handled with extreme caution.
Yes.
Because this is
Dangerous.
not good for you if contact is made with the skin. So I think if there's anything that people need to know when they're mixing, is that you need to observe pretty common safety rules with this, but they also came with these nice gloves so that you can mix your juice and administer a rectal exam if you ever feel like it. It's a one-stop shop with the Liquid Barn. But this is good because I've seen other kits that don't come with this.
Yeah.
And I've seen people mixing online where they're just doing it on like a desk using their bare hands, and I'm like, it's probably not a good idea, buddy.
Yeah. Even besides the danger factor, it's also nice to just be, cleanly about it. And
Yeah, exactly, and not, cross-contaminate anything.
Yeah.
So here's a question I asked before we started going. This is USP grade nicotine, and this is 100 milligrams in VG. Can you explain? And I'm doing this because my only understanding of nicotine levels was the standard 3,
Yeah.
6, 9, 12, etc. How does that break down? When this says 100 mg, how do I get my ratio of Nick into the bottle?
So it's going to be diluted with either propylene glycol or vegetable glycerin. And the base that it comes in is, again, it's up to you. And it's going to be based on what you want your juice to be. If you're somebody who likes, a higher VG juice, you might want to get VG-based nicotine because when you're finished diluting it down, which is, taking this and diluting it down with, something else to bring down your level to what you want, you might be limited if you have propylene glycol and you want, a higher VG juice.
Right.
So
That's what I was very excited about, frankly, because I think for people like me who have kind of the gamut of devices, I have a Vamo, I have an MVP, I have 2 iTaste VVs, I have this weird little ELVT, which is just the oddest little mod I've ever had, and also has a little flashlight in case you can't find where you put your underpants while you're vaping. Who the hell knows? And I also have a dripper. And as I've learned the hard way, when a friend has brought us, you can't drip 18. You can't drip 12. You're gonna pass out.
yeah,
So this is a nice way to make a juice that's 3 for dripping, and then a juice that's 12 to 16, whatever, for your standard cardo tanks.
yeah.
It just kind of seems like this is the final frontier, and once you get good at mixing, the sky's kind of the limit.
Yeah, definitely. And like I make juices for different things. Like I myself, I like to have higher nicotine, and then I'll also carry another juice that is probably 0 or 3 milligrams because when I get like a craving for nicotine, being on my way out of smoking, I
tried that when I started.
hit it.
I got like 18 and I was like coming off of tobacco, need 18. Then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get some zero, you know, man? Just to take it easy.
Yeah.
And then after 4 hits of zero, I was like, where's 18?
Yeah, so, which is why you probably should have 2.
Yeah.
So then, because you don't want to be sitting there vaping 18 all day long.
No,
it's going to be more addicted to nicotine.
No, you're gonna be in the future. You're gonna be so sped up. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna make some juice. So I'm gonna spin the camera around, and I'll go over the different components that Liquid Barn ships, and we are going to make a little bottle of our own blend. And I like dessert flavors, man. So let's get dessert-y. All right, so here we go. Okay, here we go. Here is the kit that's been set up. Why don't you walk us through what all the individual components are that we are currently looking at as I put on my blue gloves.
So right now we've got all the flavors out.
Yeah, that's why. You like that?
It's a nice little move right there.
It is a nice little move.
Yeah, I always have trouble putting mine on, but there we go.
I've been in plenty of doctor's offices, man. I just want to make my juice bend over and cough, you know?
Oh, God.
It's going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me, buddy.
Alright, so we've got some syringes.
Okay.
We've got our flavors, our PG, our VG, nicotine, some measuring instruments. Right here we got a graduated cylinder, we got a beaker right here, and we have a couple bottles that we're going to put them in when we're done.
Can I tell you honestly, man? I feel like I'm straight up Walter White right now, and we're about to do this.
That's the feeling some people get.
That is the feeling that some people get. Like I really want to call Vamonos Pest.
Yeah.
And make some. Okay. Anyway, but this is not illegal in any way, shape, or form.
No, not right now.
It's good for you. Gets you off the analogs.
Yes.
So we're doing something to benefit mankind right now.
Yes.
So as I said, I like dessert flavors. It's kind of my thing. And we were talking, we're going to take some of your lava cake, which is right here, and you wanted to try it with some snickerdoodle, correct?
Yeah, and I've never done it, so I have no idea how this is going to come out. But
great, thank you
good.
for saving your experiments for my online YouTube channel. That's phenomenal.
I was actually just thinking about it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're going to do it. So we're going to try some lava cake and some snickerdoodle. So when you make juices, this is, I'm guessing, a 10 mil or 15?
It's got 15 mil.
Okay, that's a 15 mil bottle.
And yeah, when you test your batches, you know, people tend to want to start off doing like, you know, 5 mils, 10 mils, but it's actually better to, if you can at least get to like, you know, 40, 50, 60.
Right.
Because of the smaller amount, the batch size you have, you really are limiting yourself to what's going to happen as far as if you put just a tiny bit too much, you know, nicotine or a tiny bit too much flavoring. 1 drop more means a lot when you're doing 1 mil test versus doing, you know, 40 mils.
Exactly.
So yeah, we'll try to keep it a little bit bigger.
So how many mils do you want to make? Like basically this is a 10 mil bottle, we said?
15?
That's a 15 mil bottle.
So we'll make, let's just say we'll make 30 mils and we'll fill 2 of those up.
Okay, I like that. So walk me through. What do we do? What's the math we're going to work out on this?
So
I am an idiot when it comes to this. So I've been very excited to kind of learn what the breakdown of doing this is.
yeah, I'm not the best at math either, so this actually helps a lot.
Oh yeah. So this is the Liquid Barn mixing mat, which is very cool. That comes with it. So what does all this stuff mean?
So basically this is just kind of a follow along for the actual manual itself. So in each of these steps, let's get that in there real quick. So this manual kind of has a breakdown for all the steps, which we will put down on that mat. So when we're ready to do the actual mix, you have all the information in front of you.
Okay.
And you don't have to kind of sit there and keep track of what you're doing as
Oh, and it comes with this dry erase pen.
Yeah.
All right, so let's math this out.
So first step basically is to just kind of figure out what we're doing, and we know now that we have a batch size of 30 mils. So we can just go ahead and write down 30. And we know that, so you said your nicotine you usually like around...
Let's go with 14.
So let's just put 14 in there. And the base nicotine is going to refer to the nicotine we have that we're going to dilute down.
100.
Which is 100.
Okay.
So the next step is to just kind of figure out what it is we need in, or I guess I should say from the base nicotine that's going to go into the batch, which is going to make up the 14 milligram strength.
So the target nicotine is 14 over the base nicotine, which is 100.
Yep.
Okay. So times the batch size 30.
30. Yep.
Equals.
And so that's going to be the amount you need from your base nicotine.
Already, you are making this a lot easier than I thought it would be.
So yeah, if you want to just.
So 14 divided by 100 times 30.
Yep.
And that from a theater major. Can you believe that? Divided by 100.
So you just go equals.
Equals 0.14 times 30 equals 4.2.
Yep.
So we're looking for 4.2 mil
yes.
of this. And then how many mils do these hold?
So there's actually, right now we have a 10 on us, and we have a big one. And we have all sorts of sizes. So depending on the size you're going to make, you kind of want to get a syringe that caters to that.
Okay.
So we can use, actually I think the only big one we have is this, which might be too much.
Whoa.
Yeah, so this is actually a, let's see, here's a 50 mil syringe.
This is for people who are very serious about their juice making.
But
so
we can use the 10 twice.
The 10, well, we're looking for 4.2 mil.
Oh, 4.2, sorry. Yeah.
Right, so we're just going to go basically to right there.
Yep.
All right. So, and again, as this is our public service warning, be very careful and always wear the gloves when you're handling the nicotine.
Keep away from children and pets.
Oh yes, if you have children and pets, I think the overall advice is just to keep this all in a locked cabinet.
Yeah.
And if you keep this out, you are an idiot. All right, so just dip that in?
Yeah, so you can actually just, let's take, I think there's a little cap on it.
Oh, right, that would help. So we're going to dip that in.
Yeah, just enough. Just slightly pull up. And see, the VG is really thick, so you're going to notice it's kind of hard to pull. There's a lot of air you have to let go with it.
So I think I'm just going to...
And you can go a little bit past.
A little past and then just spurt out what I don't want.
Yep.
Alright, so this one looks like I have a little over 5 in here. So I'm going to squeeze out until we get to, let's just call that 4.2.
Yep.
Good?
Good.
Tap off the rest and then into our big...
So we're going to put it into this beeper.
We making juice. Alright, this is good.
Lay it on that.
Alright, just going to tap that off and then lay this on the plastic.
So now our next step is going to actually be to figure out, so now it's going to come down to what you kind of prefer as your ratio. Like if you know you like VG
I like
PG.
50-50, basically.
50-50.
Alright, so I'm going to cap this. We're going to set this aside.
So the PG-VG ratio is actually pretty simple. You know that right now we've just used 4.2 milliliters of a VG-based nicotine. So
okay.
that 4.2 is going to count towards our vegetable glycerin ratio.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to keep that in mind as we move forward. So the next step is to...
So this is the same figure as up here. Amount of base nicotine to add to mixture to achieve target nicotine strength.
Yeah, and we're kind of, I guess, skipping steps because the math is going to be pretty easy. Once you have this number, it kind of just carries down into here, so you can follow along and you keep track of where you went with it.
Nicotine to add to mixture to achieve a target nicotine strength. Then that was the same number as here, 4.2.
Yes.
And then the batch size is 30 mil. We're going for. So 4.2 divided by 30 times 100. So what does that mean?
So basically, you're looking for, you have kind of this overall idea in your head of what you want as far as your ratios. So to keep those numbers consistent, you want to come up with that kind of overall percentage for what your batch size
so
is.
I just divided 4.2 into 30, which was 1.4 times 100, so that's 14.
So yeah, 14% is gonna it's gonna come down to basically we're keeping a track of how much of everything we're using.
I see.
So flavor 1. So just to reiterate that real quick, the percentages is just to keep an idea in your head of what you have used for each PG, VG flavoring nicotine, which will come in handy later. So for the flavoring, we're gonna do lava cake.
Yep.
And snickerdoodle. So the lava cake is good around, like, let's probably say 12%. And the flavors do vary. So the manual actually comes with a kind of percentage guide to start off as a base.
Oh, really?
And yeah, that's, if you just flip through it, you'll find pictures of it.
Oh, you guys really did your homework on this.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, as you can see, all the different flavorings have these are suggested percentages.
Suggested, yeah, and again, because you can do anything you want.
Mhm.
Taste is very subjective, and you can also make complex flavors where you add multiple, concentrates into one batch.
So this says 15%. So that means 15% of the total 30 ml is
Yeah.
going to be flavoring.
Yeah, and we'll probably do 12 just because we're going to add a little of the snickerdoodle.
Okay.
And so the snickerdoodle,
And the snickerdoodle here says 7%. So that must be a stronger flavor than the lava cake.
Yeah, and we'll actually even do less like if we have lava cake as our kind of main flavor, we want the snickerdoodle to kind of complement it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we do like 4%
Snickerdoodle.
and let's go 12% lava cake. And you can do
Okay.
you can have lava cake be the complement, and you could do 12 snickerdoodle.
I like chocolate.
Yeah,
We're complimenting with snickerdoodle.
I like chocolate too.
Okay, so the next question is, do we need different syringes for the flavorings?
You don't, but you should use a different syringe so you're not getting like the same size. You can use the same size, but you don't want to put the nicotine syringe into the flavoring.
Right.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use these 1 ml syringes, and we actually have.
Oh, those are 1 ml?
Yeah, and this will be good for like the snickerdoodle. I have a feeling it's gonna be. We're not gonna use too much of.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll use a 3 ml syringe for the lava cake.
And then I think obviously we can go over cleaning.
Yeah. The syringes you can wash out really well. It's suggested if you're using the nicotine syringes, just throw it away. But you can wash it in warm water very thoroughly. Let them dry, and you can use them multiple times. The print will actually start to come off as you wash it. So
Oh, really?
you can throw it away once you see that kind of disappearing.
Exactly.
So yeah, we're gonna do. So on here we can actually write down. You can just put lava cake for flavor 1. You don't have to spell it out. You just do LC, I guess. And snickerdoodle. So let's try 12% and 3%, and we can always play with that later too. You can always add or take away. You can take away by diluting it down more. So
we're going to write
a good number.
12% and then 3%.
3%, yeah. So now we know the nicotine we use
Mm-hmm.
is VG based.
Okay.
These flavors are going to be propylene glycol based.
Mm-hmm.
So just as like a reference, we can just circle it so you know. So
Okay.
let's see if you have 12, 13, 14, 15. So now your total flavoring is 15%, and that's going to make up now 15% PG. So we've used 14 and 15.
Okay.
So right here,
So this is total premix PG plus total premix PG equals total premix percentage.
yeah. So your PG is going to actually be just from your flavors because we used a VG nicotine. So for your total premix PG, we've used 14%. Or
And
15%. I'm
15.
sorry.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 15% in this first column. Does it really matter which one's which?
Well, just to keep track of the PG, VG.
Oh, right. That is VG.
Yeah. So it's just to keep track of where we're at as far as our ratio is concerned.
Okay.
And then for the nicotine, we used 14 for the VG because we used the nicotine base.
And that's the number we get from here.
Yeah.
Percentage of nicotine being added to the base.
Yep. Yeah. So the only reason to do this now is to keep track of
Oh, I see.
what percentage we've used total.
So basically, when you add these up, this is 29%.
Mm-hmm. So we know
That's the nic and then the flavoring. And then
Yeah.
we're going to split the rest in half between
Exactly.
PG and VG. All right.
Exactly.
So let's go with 29. I don't know if people... Oops. I should hold this up. This is actually exactly what I wanted to know about doing this whole process.
Yeah, and this actually helps a lot too. The mat.
Yeah, it really does. So, as you can see, here are the numbers that we have going. And it really actually breaks everything down. So now let's make this bioch.
And yeah, this is all in the manual too. The mat's really just kind of a bonus.
Right. The mat is extremely helpful.
Yeah.
Just to have it all in front of you while you're doing it. So 100% minus the total premix, which is 29, equals the percentage of additional PG and VG. And 100 minus 29 is, of course, 71, which I couldn't do in my head because I'm an idiot.
I couldn't either.
71. So then percentage of additional PG and or VG is 71, broken down into PG and VG, so divided by 2.
Well, and you can actually, this is where it can be up to you. Like, you like 70-30, or do you like...
Let's go 50-50.
Okay, we'll just do 50-50. So we know that so far we have, just to make this easy, I guess we've used 15 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
So the remainder would be, 50 minus the 14, 50 minus the 15.
Okay.
And that's going to be our remainder for each of the PG and the VG.
Okay.
So we can do that.
So
Let's go, we have 15, so we're going to go 50. So we're going to have 35 for the PG. And then we're going to have 36 for the VG.
okay.
And then that'll be combined, it'll make a 50-50 ratio.
Okay.
So to figure out the flavors we need to add now, we're just
Mhm.
going to do the percentage. So we did 12% for lava cake, 3% for the snickerdoodle.
Mm-hmm.
So for flavor 1, you're just basically doing 12% times the bat size, which is 30. And then same thing, you're going to do 3 and then 30. So then for this
So
part,
that'd be 0.12 times 30.
right,
And then
and that's so like a lot of times people will just want to do the percentage as a whole number times the bat size.
so
we do that.
3.6 for lava cake. Okay, so we've determined that we need 3.6 mil of the lava based on our percentages. And now the second flavor, the accent flavor, is the snickerdoodle, and we just want 3% of that. So 0.03 times 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 0.03.
So where do we write down the 3.6 mil?
So you can actually go ahead and just throw that in right here.
Oh, I see. Here we go. Flavor 1, 3.6. Flavor 2, let's do the math here. 0.03 times 30 is, we can call that 1 mil. That's 0.9.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make our lives a little easier.
And then pretty much the nicotine PGVG, which we've already figured out.
From step 2.
So 4.2 is the base nicotine.
Mm-hmm.
And then our PG and VG is...
And then additional PG we figured out was going to be...
Yeah, which we're going to take from there. 35.
35%. So that's 0.35.
Oh, yeah. So let's do that real quick.
0.35 times 30.
So we're going to have 10.5.
Additional PG.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to do, what do we have over there?
36.
36. $10.8.
10.8.
And that's basically our recipe.
Come on, not bad.
Yeah. So when we put this together, we'll have 30 mils, and then we also can have basically a breakdown of it, which we can also put into here, which this recipe book is kind of just to help track things that you've done. You can write out.
Oh, that's
take
cool.
notes, and you can help perfect it.
All right, well, let's make this.
Yeah.
Good.
So we've got our nicotine in here already.
Yeah. Let's put this aside. Right
Here's
there.
our VG, our PG. Now, because the glycerin's so thick,
Mm-hmm.
I find that it's actually easier to just pour straight into here
Oh, really?
using a funnel. We can use the syringe. It's less messy. This, you can drop it by, just spilling from the side a little bit. It can be a little bit more messy.
Okay, so here we have a funnel going right in.
Yeah.
So we could just measure out, basically, we have 10.5 and 10.8, and we could probably just do 10 of each
Yeah, and because of the...
Is rounding okay in this?
It's fine because you're just kind of getting a general idea of something,
Uh-huh.
and then once you find something you like, I'd get pretty specific on it.
Right.
But yeah, when it comes to your own use, rounding is fine. You don't want to round too much. But we can do it with this, and with the cylinder even, like it might be too big for what we're doing.
Uh-huh.
So we could stick to the syringes.
How many mils of that?
So we're gonna actually, this is a 10, but it actually goes up to 12.
Okay.
So we can do 10 of each.
Do we want to use separate syringes for each one?
If you have a problem with propylene glycol,
I don't.
then it really doesn't matter. But what I would suggest maybe is just doing the vegetable glycerin first, and then doing the propylene glycol.
So,
Just in case your friend uses it next.
no one's touching this stuff but me.
Maybe you don't want to share needles.
I trust no one. Alright.
Yeah, so that looks good.
Let that drip out. In you go. We're going to do 10 of PG.
10 of PG.
Yeah, this is not nearly as thick.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to work with. So because the VG's thicker, you might, you have to mix it more. There might be a little bit more to the steeping process, which is another reason I like the PG.
Do you find these juices need to steep for a while?
It depends really on the flavors you're using and how many flavors you're using. In this case, we're using 2 flavors, but the more complex they become, the more steeping it does require.
Right.
To bring out the full flavor.
All right. So we figured out that we need.
So we're doing
3.6 mil of the lava
and 1 mil of the snickerdoodle.
Okay.
So that we can probably do 3, and then you can do it again to 2.6.
Okay. And how many mils are in each one of these?
So this is an 8 mil vial,
Okay.
and these are usually what we would do our sample packs in.
Okay.
And depending on the kit, there's different variations you can get of the samples, and you can even upgrade it to a 15 mil or 30 mil flavor. I'll just hold that for you.
Thanks. Oops.
Yeah, so this is why these actually come in pretty handy.
Oh right, the syringe tips.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So this actually just slides onto it. It's a Lurlock slip tip.
There we go. Alright, so that's 3 mil. And then make it a little higher. Just push it to 1. Okay.
Perfect. And then we'll do the lava cake, or I'm sorry, the snickerdoodle. And then this we'll do to, I guess, just 1 mil.
Oh, so this whole thing is 1 mil.
Yeah. The 1 mil syringe is nice when you're doing really precise kind of small measurements. Which if you are doing very small sample sizes, I would highly recommend using the 1 mil syringes.
Alright, so
that's pretty much it. The next step would be to mix it pretty good, and then you would let it steep. Something like this you could probably use pretty soon. I would What I do is I usually try it when I'm done, and then I'll wait another day and try it, and then I'll do that for about a week, and then I'll let it sit as long as it needs to go. Something like this, I would say, you know, 4 days, it'll be great. And it's like we can even use that little mixer too, just to really get that.
Are there any ways to quick steep juices?
People like sometimes will often heat it up, and like there's magnetic stirrers that you can kind of let them sit on.
So I can just drop this in?
Yeah, you can just put it in. Just make sure you don't get too much splashback.
Does it help aerate it too?
Yeah, when you steep it, you want to let a little bit of air in at the, you know, maybe 2 times a day. It helps to oxidize it. And then like as of right now, I mean the initial mix, you don't even really need to mix it with any fancy mixer. You can actually throw it in a bottle and just shake it really good. So that's probably good right there. And then what we'll do is pour it into, I guess, one of these. And we probably want to use a funnel.
We might want to use a funnel.
Yeah. And then a good thing to do too when you have some sample sizes or some sample batches you're making is to take a sticker and you can write down, you know, a code or a name for it. Keep track of it in your recipe book so you can match it to that, and as you try it you can take notes on it. You can kind of fine tune it from there. If you notice there's maybe too much of a chocolatey taste or too much of a snickerdoodle taste, you'd write that in your notes, and then on your next, you know, batch size you would kind of have an idea of what to alter your percentages to. Just get probably end up doing 2. Maybe I'll take one of them home and it'll be the best juice I've ever had, and I'll sell it online and make lots of money.
That's awesome.
And it'll just be, I'll send you a royalty check. Perfect.
Okay, there we go.
And it's pretty much that. I mean, it's a pretty simple process.
Oh, yeah, well, here you see. That's the juice we just made. Not bad. So is any of this vapable now, or should we wait?
It's definitely vapable now. But again, you're not really going to get that full flavor of what, you know, you actually made until you let it steep a little bit. But there are certain flavors you can mix up, shake, and it's good to go right away. So it's really going to depend.
Well, let's throw some of this on a dripper and see what it's like. All right, we're gonna be right back, and we're gonna try this new juice and see what it vapes like. What up, Drip Tippers? It is Ben Morrison back with my follow-up to the video I shot with Robert from Liquid Barn, kind of my intro to DIY. I wanted to wait a little while for my first couple batches to finish steeping, which I have learned is very important in the process. You do want to let them steep. And I have to say I am very impressed with the whole operation. When I first got into vaping, I was immediately attracted to the DIY elements, mainly because I was pretty tired of buying components that I knew I could, for the most part, kind of make myself. And then when I thought about DIYing for the first time, it just kind of seemed like a no-brainer, given that there's really only 4 ingredients to this whole art as it was. I contacted different DIY companies, and I found Liquid Barn, which seemed like it had the best kit I could kind of see, and luckily enough for me, they were in Los Angeles, which is where I live, and was happy that they could come out and kind of show me the ropes. I have made a bunch of batches. They provide these really wonderful UV-coated bottles, which is great for steeping and flavor retention. What do I got? I got some Snickerdoodle in the Nemesis. Let's very Snickerdoodly. But the whole process has been kind of awesome, knowing I can kind of take the power back and do everything. And I gotta say, Liquid Barn's operation is very, very professional. They even include this handy little mixer. So you can whip up the juices and oxidize the batch before you let them steep. And this is going to be kind of precarious, but I have my handy little holder here. Liquid Barn has a very good selection of flavorings. Check it out. Look at all that. How much good vaping is that for you? Can you stand it? You know, I got the VG Nick right there, the PG, and then the VG. And then all these different flavors. There's really something for everyone in the flavor selection that they have. But what I was most impressed with is how well thought out the whole kit was. They got small syringes. They got bigger syringes. They got gigantic glass bottles. They got beakers. They got rubber gloves, so you don't get any of that nick on your hands, which you do not want to do. And even the manuals, they have a recipe book that they give you. How cool is that? I got to begin filling that out. Right now, I'm only making kind of single flavor blends right now before I start mixing flavors into, you know, juices that I'll give my own stupid names. And the single flavor blends I've made have all been awesome. I've let friends try the single flavor blends I've made, and they're all pretty blown away by it. And I was blown away by it too, because I kind of thought that the whole making your own juice thing was the domain of these companies, and I didn't know how it worked, but it really is only 4 ingredients when it comes down to it. Not even 4. The Nick, the VG, the PG, and the flavoring, if you want to consider that 4. That's really all there is to it. And then, of course, you can begin combining flavors, which is my next step. But I mean, even like they give you this mat that comes with it. It's a dry erase mat, where it breaks down basically the whole process of what goes into the juice. As you begin to make more and more juices, you won't necessarily need this because you'll just kind of map it out in your own head. There are online juice calculators, but even the fact that they thought this out was an extra step that I really like, because I didn't really understand how the juice was made, and now that I do, it's a lot simpler than I ever thought it would be. So my mind is kind of blown. My mind is kind of blown right now, and I'm really enjoying making my own juice and not having to order online and then wait the 4 or 5 days, and then when you get the juice, you have to let it sit. Talking to you, Mount Baker Vapor, who I do like. So yeah, I am going to be a juice maker now. I'm going to be a juice maker, bread maker, candlestick baker, heartbreaker, and money taker. I don't really know what I'm talking about right now. But I want to give a big shout out to Liquid Barn. I believe their website is liquidbarn.com. I'll include a link under the video. Check them out. And they're also kind of new to the game, so their kit's only going to get better. So I highly, highly recommend both DIYing and the product that Liquid Barn is offering. So big shout out to Robert at Liquid Barn. Thank you very much for immersing me into this world, and thank you for giving me another reason not to leave the house, as if I didn't have enough already. So that's that. Look for more videos from the DripTip with me, Ben Morrison. And if you want to see some of my comedy, because that's kind of what I do, I'll also link to that. Or check out youtube.com/Ben the Morrison to see what I do stand-up wise. I'm bringing vaping to the masses, baby, because the future is vaping, and now is the future to completely rip off Rip Trippers. Anyway, why not? Peanut buttery. All right, until the next video, I am Ben Morrison. Bye-bye.